Hey everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun scroll saw project video, have another amazing design by Steve Gooden. It's one of his more recent uploads. I've got all the pattern printed out and attached to our material with clear packing tape, and it's going to use entirely 1/4 inch material for all this, so all that is what is going to be on hand for this project. So really cool. The project is going to be a nice little old school picnic style basket that you can put small fruits in, like small apples or stuff, or maybe pears and all, or maybe even candy if you have a sweet tooth. But really cool. Here is the bulk of the scroll work, and this is the sides of the basket. We're going to stack cut and make 2 of those at one time. You see it has some nice flower designs here, some floral designs, and you see there is the slots for all of the staves that will make up the body of the basket. And as you guys know, the 1/4 inch material I get is not 1/4 inch, so I have redrawn the cut lines here to precisely measure out everything and make sure it all slots together. There you see the holes at the top for the handles. So really cool. Here is the staves, or the slats that'll go in between, so you can kind of see what the width of the basket is going to be. And we're going to stack cut and make all 9 of these by stack cutting 3 at a time and cutting out 3 staves to give us the 9 pieces for the body. And then we have the handle here, and since we only need 2 of those, we're going to stack cut and make 2 of those and have the handles for the front and back of the basket. And I'm going to use the same blade to cut out everything on this. You can cut up to 1 inch thick material with the number 5 ultra reverse tooth blades, but really cool. And since everything is prepared, let's head over to the drill press, drill all the pilot holes required for this project so we can come back to the scroll saw and start scrolling. And over here on the drill press, we're going to take a small drill bit and drill out all of the pilot holes for internal cutting. And there is a ton of internal cuts on this project. Some are very small, but once we get over to the scroll saw, we will, as always, take our time and get through everything. I'm using number 5 ultra reverse tooth blades for all of the cutting for this project, and we're going to be stack cutting 3 layers of 1/4 inch material at one time, but the blade will do exceptionally well for all of the cutting with minimal chip out, which will always be good when it comes time for sanding. If you guys would like to try this pattern, it's available as a free pattern download over at Steve Good's scrollsawworkshop.blogspot.com website over in his free pattern catalog. I do like that Steve has started uploading a lot of these tabbed projects to where pieces slot together to just show the versatility of a scroll saw, to where it's not only capable of cutting out beautiful 2-dimensional flat pieces of art to hang on the wall, they can make practical 3-dimensional pieces like this basket. And when I seen him upload this pattern, I knowed I had to cut it out and document it on film. It really reminds me of my grandmother and both grandparents actually, because they always had some kind of fruit basket or something of similar style on the kitchen table with fruit in it, like apples. Cutting the tabs now, and you can see I'm taking a scrap piece of the same 1/4 inch material and just double checking that the tabs are all lining up into measure while I'm at the scroll saw. And it took a while to cut all this out. The 3 flowers took the longest. Again, sometimes it felt that it took me longer to retension the blade than it did to do the actual cut. But I was just taking my time and letting the blade do the work. If you guys are new here, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and also follow me over on Instagram at Artisan Pirate. I'd really appreciate the support. Coming along on some of the final internal cuts here, and then the rest of the cuts will be just outside cuts where we follow the outside line and release all the pieces from the waste wood. Again, I was just lost in my world of sawdust, making some beautiful scroll saw art. And you've seen me double check there for squareness with my blade alignment tool, because now we are stack cutting with the same number 5 ultra reverse tooth blade. We are stack cutting 3 layers of the 1/4 inch material, and again, it's still cutting exceptionally well.
all of these slats here make up the thickness of the basket, and we quickly cut all them out. And then we cut out the handles back to just stack cutting 2 pieces of 1/4 inch material. And then we will finally release the actual profile of the baskets. Again, cutting both layers out at one time. Now that all the scroll work is done, we will come over to the workbench and remove all the pieces from the waste wood. And we will discard the waste wood. And we will take all the pieces over to sanding with 180 grit Klingspor sandpaper and the vibrating palm sander here. And I'll quickly sand the front and back of each of the pieces. And then it will be time for assembly, and I will be using medium grade CA glue and activator, and I'll begin just by attaching all the slats into their slots here. And because I took careful measurements of the actual thickness of my material and redrew the cut lines, everything slotted together flawlessly. It was a very tight fit. But once I got all the slats glued in here, and again using activator, I still let it dry and cure completely for around 5 minutes. Wasn't trying to rush the project, but then I came back and glued on the other side and attached the handles. And the handles, keep in mind, just kind of free float in the 2 top circles, so I was careful to keep them in when lining up everything. And again, this piece slotted together exceptionally well. And again, I let this dry for around 5 minutes, and then it was on to staining with Minwax wood stain. And I saturated all the areas all the way around and wiped off all of the excess with a piece of t-shirt material and let that dry on a hook for around an hour. And then I came back and gave it several coats of Rust-Oleum clear gloss for a finish, and the project was complete.
And here we have the completed fruit basket, cut out completely on the scroll saw, and it finished up beautifully and has a nice rustic look to it the way I finished it. Thank you, Steve Good, for another amazing design from your scroll saw pattern catalog. Once again, this is one of his newer patterns from this year in 2023, so really, really cool. Everything came out nice and crisp, and because I took careful measurements with the material I used with the slots and redrew the cut lines to the actual thickness of the 1/4 inch plywood I get at Lowe's, everything slotted together there at the end, and everything came out beautifully. The handles, of course, are free floating. They are not glued in. They're just held in, you know, by the weight of the design of the basket, and you can have them out, or you can have them on the inside if you would prefer that. But there is a lot of finishing options and a lot of ways to make this, meaning you do not have to make it out of plywood like I've done in this one. I just made this one out of plywood to show you guys the process and how it looks once it's assembled. I would love to see this made out of maybe some exotic woods, maybe do the slats here that give the basket its width and its depth to hold things could be made out of like cedar, and maybe the handles out of cedar or a darker wood like that, and then the 2 sides here with the flowers and floral decor on it made out of a lighter wood to really complement everything when it was assembled and clear coated. And again, the clear coat made the natural grain of the 1/4 inch material pop. It took me around an hour and a little over that to scroll everything out. Of course, all of the detail is in the 3 flowers here, and they came out beautifully. And because we stack cutted everything that we could in this project, everything came out nice and symmetrical and slotted together beautifully there at the end. So it's a very easy assembly process once you get to it. Of course, I use CA glue if you've got time to clamp it together and wait for everything, you can of course use wood glue. I just go with CA glue. It's hardly ever let me down, and this is just going to be stationary, and the slots add some support to everything. And when Steve Good uploaded this to his blog spot, when he uploaded the pattern pad, he had pictures of fruits and all in it. This basket would comfortably hold some decent sized apples and pears, maybe 4 or 5 of them, or if you know someone with a sweet tooth, you could fill it with candy. It would hold a lot of candy, and it would be neat to have it sitting there in the center of the table, or maybe on a desk at your office or something where you work, for people to go by and pick stuff up. But really cool. And with the flowers here, if you're very good with digital software like Photoshop or maybe even GIMP or something like that, you could go in here and remove this floral design and put a design that you like in it yourself. Or if you have a laser engraver, I know they're becoming more popular in workshops nowadays, you could just take the design out completely, cut everything out on the scroll saw, and then just laser engrave something there on the sides. But a lot of ways to finish it, and of course there's always the option of painting it. But really cool. I took my time and let the blade do the work, and that is very essential when it comes to cutting out all 9 of the slats. Of course, with stack cutting, we batched out 3 at a time and knocked those out quickly. But really cool. I had a lot of fun making it, and I hope you guys like watching me make it. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel, and also follow me over on Instagram at Artisan Pirate. Links to all my social medias, as well as ways to contact me, will always be linked down in the description box below these videos. That's about all for this one, and remember guys, if I can make it or do it, so can you. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care, and I'll see you guys real soon.